This baby fell 11 floors from her grandfather's arms. On July 2019, 18-month-old Chloe and her family were vacationing at the Royal Caribbean Cruises in Puerto Rico when her grandfather sat her at the window ledge and she fell 11 floors to the ground. Chloe's grandfather, Salvatore Anello, says that it was all an accident and he thought the window was closed. He said he leaned Chloe against the window because that's what she likes to do. Chloe's mother, Kim, was devastated, but she does stand by her father and says that the cruise was negligent and should have never had an open window by a kid's play area.
Chloe's family says she fell through that open window, set to slide open to provide ventilation in what's known as the H2O zone aboard the cruise ship. A family attorney says the toddler's grandfather, Sam, placed her on a railing to look outside, believing he was lifting the toddler behind a wall of glass.
After the cruise ship reviewed their surveillance footage, there seems to be more to the story.
But ship video, first shown on TV in Puerto Rico last month, shows Anello leaning out the window for about 8 seconds while Chloe is still on the ground. Then he lifts the girl up and over a wooden rail. He held her for about 34 seconds before she slipped from his arms. Royal Caribbean says the video proves Anello had to know the window was open and recklessly lifted Chloe over the window.
Salvatore pleaded guilty to negligent homicide and was sentenced to 3 years probation.
This is the most dangerous apple in the world. So dangerous that its name in Spanish is manzanilla de la muerte, which translates to little apple of death. This is the manchineel tree, and it's widely considered to be the most toxic tree on the planet. And it's all because of a milky white sap coated in toxins that can cause the skin to blister on impact. And this sap is found on every part of the tree. The leaves, the fruit, the bark, every aspect of this tree has the ability to decrease your quality of life. It's so toxic that if you don't even touch it but stand under the tree while it's raining, all it takes are a couple raindrops with white sap to burn your skin. And speaking of burning, if you torch your tree and try to return ship it to Satan, the smoke can irritate the eyes to the point of temporary blindness. And you can probably imagine what would happen if you inhale it. The fruit might just be the worst part. In 1999, radiologist Nicola Strickland unknowingly ate the apple, and while she didn't retire from breathing, she came really close. The burning sensation and painful tightening of the throat nearly made her suffocate off rip. The pain lasted over 8 hours and she eventually had to get the lymph nodes in her neck drained. And if you happen to find one in your Florida backyard, yeah, you can find them in Florida, y'all are hell with no income tax. You can't cut them down because they're endangered. It'd be like suplexing a panda. And since they help prevent beach erosion and protect mangroves, if you got rid of all of them, Florida just might go underwater. The more you know.
Gruesome Facts You Didn't Know, Part 126. In China, it is cheaper to kill a pedestrian with your car than it is to injure one. It's actually quite common for the driver to go back and run over the pedestrian again to make sure that they're dead. They call it double hit. Killing a pedestrian in a car accident is usually a $30,000 to $50,000 fine, and then the matter is over. Injuring them means you pay for their lifetime of care, which can run into the millions. This is the Hynellum peckii mushroom, also known as the bleeding tooth fungus, obviously because it looks like it's oozing blood. It also has tooth-like spines underneath of the cap. In 1998, 2-year-old Harrison Johnson stumbled across a yellow jacket nest and was stung 432 times. The couple didn't seek medical attention until he lost consciousness more than 7 hours later. The Johnsons were part of a religion that believes medicine is sorcery. They took the boy to a friend's trailer where they gave him an oatmeal bath and rubbed his skin with lotion. A pediatrician testified that the delay eliminated all chances of his survival.
Knowledge that could save your life if you're bitten by a venomous snake. Contrary to popular belief, don't suck the venom out. Don't cut the wound, don't tie a tourniquet, don't even touch the area around the wound. That will only spread the venom faster. Instead, try to stay calm and move as little as possible. That will slow the spread of the venom. Remove any jewelry or tight clothing from the area, because with swelling, you won't be able to get it off later. Don't try to catch the snake. Just remember what it looks like and get to the hospital as soon as you can. Good luck. How strange is your body? Less than 1% of the population can cause goosebumps on command. 10% of people think that cilantro tastes like soap. This is caused by a gene that picks up on aldehyde chemicals, which are found in both cilantro and soap. 30% of people have hitchhiker's thumb, where they can bend their distal joint as far back as 90 degrees. Less than 1% of the population has their hearts on the right side of their body. It's called dextrocardia, and it's usually not harmful. And between 5 and 8% of the population can rapidly shake their eyes. It's called voluntary nystagmus.
This is the creepy story about the daughter. There was a mother who had a 5-year-old daughter named Kate. The little girl had a constant habit of asking her mom if she was pretty. The mother always replied, "Of course you're pretty," even though she was tired of answering the same question. One day the mother took her daughter down for a walk by the river. Kate then stared into the water and asked her mom if she was pretty. The mother was so annoyed with answering the same question, she lost her temper, and in a blind rage, she pushed her own daughter into the river. The little girl was unable to swim, and within moments she sunk to the bottom and died. When the mother realized what she did, she was overcome with regret. However, she did not want to go to jail and told the police that Kate slipped and fell into the water. A few years later, she got pregnant and gave birth to another child. She named her Kate to honor her dead daughter. One day, the mother found the little girl staring at herself in the mirror. "Mommy, do you think I'm pretty?" said Kate. "Of course you're pretty," replied the mother. The little girl then looked up at her mother and said, "If you thought I was so pretty, then why did you push me into the river?"
Amazing things you have never seen before. What are the odds it only snowed in half of their backyard? I bet you've never seen a square cloud before. Is this a glitch in the Matrix? I bet you've never seen an alligator and a turtle high five. This isn't photoshopped. It's actually a half horse, half zebra animal that actually exists. Is this an invisible car, or did the actual car leave while the ice that was stuck on it stayed? This is insane. This is a real life Minecraft forest. And the chances of this happening are 1 in a million. These firefighters were putting out a fire when a tornado stormed through. Wow.
This is why you should always change your locks. In 2017, a college girl woke up from a nightmare drenched in sweat and decided to rinse off before going back to sleep. She propped her phone on a shelf, turned on some music, and then hopped in the shower. A few minutes later, she reaches for her phone to change the song, but stops suddenly. Reflected on her phone's screen was a person standing in the middle of her bathroom facing the shower. She somehow kept her composure, turned the water to scalding hot, and then ripped open the curtain and sprayed the intruder in the face. As they howled in pain, she ran past them to her kitchen to get her butcher's knife. In a panic, she can't find her knife, so she just runs out of the apartment and calls the police. The police go in and come out with a crazy-looking woman in handcuffs. One of the officers comes over to the girl and says she used to live here and she had copies of your keys. Then he pauses and looks down and brings up a clear evidence bag that contained her butcher's knife, and he says, "Looks like she wanted her apartment back."
Here's how the world is currently reacting to Trump's tariffs. For starters, over 50 countries have contacted the White House this weekend to start trade negotiation talks with Trump. And while most have chosen to negotiate rather than retaliate, there are a few countries like China, Canada, and Belgium that have announced counter tariffs to Trump's counter tariffs. Netanyahu is even heading to the US tomorrow to hold talks with Trump. Huge protests erupted not just in America, but worldwide. In fact, in the US this weekend alone, we saw the largest single day of demonstrations against Trump since he returned to the White House, with an estimated 1,200 protests in all 50 states. More anti-Trump protests were held in other parts of the world too, including Paris, Berlin, and London. Speaking of London though, the UK's Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, reacted by making a bombshell statement. He said, "The world as we knew it has gone. Trump has done something that we don't agree with, but there is a reason why people are behind him on this. The world has changed, globalization is over, and we are now in a new era." Tomorrow, he is expected to announce major plans to support UK industries in the wake of Trump's tariffs. People like Jim Cramer are warning of a potential stock market crash when it opens tomorrow on Monday, similar to that of the 1987 Black Monday event, where the market plummeted by around 23% in one day. day. Land Rover has paused shipments to the United States, Nintendo pulled Switch 2 pre-orders from Americans, and Hyundai reported its second highest sale month in their history as people hurried to buy foreign cars to beat the tariffs. And this is all while Ford, an American company, announced the opposite, saying not only will they not increase the prices, but they are actually discounting them, giving all Americans employee prices. They called the campaign From America for America. But of course, as always, as more develops, I'll keep you guys updated.
Life riddles you must solve to stay alive, part 2. So you're in a forest and you're bitten by a venomous snake. You have 3 options. Either try to suck the venom out of your leg, apply a tourniquet to the leg, or wash it out with clean water and then apply a bandage. You only have 5 seconds to think about it. The correct answer is a tourniquet. It will block the venom from getting to the rest of your body. Like for more life-saving riddles.
75 passengers lost their lives after this pilot let his children in the cockpit. On March 23, 1994, an Aeroflot aircraft was flying from Russia to Hong Kong when the airplane tragically crashed. Only a few hours into the flight, one of the pilots allowed his 2 children who were also on the flight to enter the cockpit so that they can see how everything operated. The pilot's 16-year-old son Elder and his 12-year-old daughter Yana had the opportunity to sit in the pilot's seat and play around with the aircraft's controls. Of course, autopilot was on, so this was not supposed to be dangerous. Well, at least that's what he thought. The pilot told his son Elder that he can turn the plane to one side so he can experience what it was to fly a plane. Unfortunately, this disabled autopilot. The pilots were unaware that the plane began turning, but once they noticed, the plane had steepened to almost 90 degrees. The plane started to quickly descend while the pilots tried to figure out what was wrong. And there's actually an audio recording of how everything played out, and you can hear the fear in these pilots' voices. The plane ended up crashing on a mountain in Russia, killing all 75 passengers on board. After investigating, they said that the cause of the crash were the children who were playing with the controls in the aircraft. And it was said that if the pilots had left the controls alone rather than trying to fix them manually, the plane would have corrected itself.
It just doesn't make sense. This case is weird. Phoebe Handsjuk was found dead in her Melbourne, Australia apartment building in December of 2010 at the bottom of a trash chute. Police said she was intoxicated and decided to climb into the chute on the 12th floor to fall 130 feet down to kill herself. But they didn't test the blood that was found in her apartment that she shared with her boyfriend, didn't look into the unexplained bruising on her body, didn't even question how she could have gone into the chute, which was 3 feet off the ground, with her jeans around her knees. And when the scenario was exactly replicated with someone sober, it was almost impossible. So how did Phoebe get into a 14-inch opening feet first without leaving any fingerprints on the outside of the chute, all while intoxicated?
What happens after death in different religions? To begin this series, let's look at Buddhism. In Buddhism, when an individual loses their life, they shall be sent to one of the 6 realms of reincarnation. The realm of gods, the realm of humans, the realm of the demigods, the realm of the animals, the realm of the hungry ghosts, and the realm of hell. And yes, if you're a Naruto fan, you probably just realized what these guys were actually representing. Your time in these realms is always temporary, and it is dependent on the karma you accumulated in your past lives. This endless cycle of reincarnation is seen as nothing more than suffering in Buddhism, as the ultimate goal is to break this suffering and reach enlightenment.
Rex Sherman, the accused Gilgo Beach murder suspect, appeared in court today. He was brought over via the underground tunnel that connects the courthouse to the jail across the street. And he did not speak during the proceeding, but allegedly at one point he looked out into the audience with an icy stare as if he was looking for someone. During the hearing, prosecutors said that they've given Herman's lawyer at least 8 terabytes of material, which is equivalent to about 2,500 pages of records, along with about 100 hours of surveillance video. This video was recorded outside of Herman's home and office prior to his arrest. The records include autopsy findings, DNA reports, and crime scene photos. And the DA has said that it's just a fraction of the evidence amassed since the discovery of the victims in 2010 and 2011, and he said more evidence will be turned over on a rolling basis. Prosecutors and Herman's lawyer also reached a confidentiality agreement that prohibits sharing copies of sensitive evidence with the public. After the hearing, Herman's attorney, Michael Brown, said that he had only just received the first wave of evidence that included 5 manila envelopes, each containing a 2-terabyte hard drive. He said, quote, "Today was the first time I was handed any evidence in this case, and it was in the form of terabytes. I can't read terabytes with my hands or eyes." Brown also pointed out, quote, "The press has convicted my client without seeing a shred of evidence," and noted that it's a possibility that Herman is not the guy. But it sounds like prosecutors have a ton of evidence. Herman is set to appear in court next on September 27th.
People are freaking out realizing what happened on this film. Whatever you do not watch it. There's a lot of disturbing films out there you've probably all heard about. The reason this is so disturbing is because it's real and because of what happened. This movie released in 1980 and was instantly banned in many countries. Essentially found footage. They find this tape which contains all of these videos on it which are messed up. I'm not going to say the name, it will get taken down, but that's it. Shortly after the movie came out, the director was arrested and actually charged. Let me explain. Basically, the movie was so realistic, the scenes in it actually looked like it was real life. Now, I'm not going to talk about the things that happened, but you can probably guess it's pretty brutal. There's lots of things that involve animals, humans, and stuff I can't even talk about. When it came out, many critics and people viewing it thought it was genuinely real. Rogetto Deodato, the director, was arrested and eventually actually charged with murder, saying that he had actually unalived the crew who were the actors in the film. They were able to prove that all of the people who were in the film, the actors, etc., were perfectly fine and he was let off. It was a film, no one was actually unalived. But unfortunately, the things that happened to animals in the film was real, like they were actually extremely harmed during the making of the film. Some problems there, and this has of course caused a lot of controversy over the years. A lot of people still say that this movie is cursed, and if you watch it, you're watching real stuff happen. It's definitely an extremely disturbing watch, so I don't recommend it.
3 ways to survive the Purge. Number 1, get out of town. Being so that the Purge is a massive killing spree. So getting out of any major city and going somewhere more rural where there's nobody will probably be a great idea. Being so that I don't think you want to become someone's release from all of their stress for the massive killing spree for 12 hours. Number 2, shelter. You're going to want to build yourself some type of underground bunker or some type of escape room in your house. Something where no one will be able to find you or your family for those 12 hours. Number 3, weapons. You're going to need something to protect yourself and your family. I wouldn't suggest doing anything close range either. I would suggest having something that you can shoot from far and close range, and something that's pretty compact. Like and follow for more videos.
This is the creepy story about the smell. A family went on a vacation and checked into a cheap hotel. When the family got to the room, they detected a very bad odor. The husband then called down to the front desk and said he wanted to speak to the manager. He explained that the room smelled very bad and that he wanted another one. But the manager said that every room was booked and he couldn't get another one. But he said he would send a maid to come clean the room. After lunch, the family came back to their room and they could still smell the same odor. Again, the father called the front desk, but the manager told the man there was nothing he could do. That night, the kids held their noses trying not to smell the odor. Eventually, they fell asleep though. In the morning, their parents woke them up. Everybody smelled the odor even stronger now. The father decided to get to the bottom of it, and they tore apart the whole room. But when they pulled the top mattress off the bed, they saw there was a big hole in the base of the bed. Everybody looked in it and came face to face with a horrible sight. There was a rotten dead woman's body. They then realized they slept all night just a few inches away from a rotten corpse.
The Bob Ross theory. Everyone knows who Bob Ross is, an extremely talented and upbeat painter, known for always being calm, cool, and collected, and of course always having a smile on his face. There's speculation that he was actually a serial killer because of this painting right here. This painting is called Happy Little Accidents. Looks like just a normal forest landscape, but this is where they found 5 female bodies, half eaten and completely unalived. This photo of this crime scene and the painting are extremely similar. My question to you guys is, could it just be a coincidence, or could Bob Ross actually have been depicting his murders the whole time in pictures?
Ancient creatures your ancestors had to fight, Part 8. This is a creature that existed from South Asia all the way to East Asia. We're speaking of the Asian straight-tusked elephant, what's argued to be the largest land mammal to ever exist. The African bush elephant is the current largest land animal in the world, and we can see here its size compared to an average human. Well, this here is the Asian straight-tusked elephant compared to the African bush elephant. It absolutely towers over it. Now, these things are believed to have gone extinct in the late Pleistocene, which means humans were potentially around them for thousands of years. And maybe a few of our ancestors got squashed.
You spot what is wrong with this picture. This one was so immediately creepy, instantly teared up, didn't even get the ring light out for it, not even using my microphone, but the context of this photo. A daughter sent it to her mother. It's from the daughter's POV taken on her phone while in the hot tub in the backyard. Look a little closer at that background. Is that not somebody's dirty, rotten hand creeping over the fence, probably watching through one of the cracks in the wood, her daughter in the hot tub?
Most disturbing Reddit confessions. During my early childhood, I suffered with thoughts of cannibalism. Fast forward to my teen years, my mom's friend passed away and we were attending the viewing for the funeral. I was left alone in the room for a while and my family spoke to the other families. I saw her lifeless body and had to take a bite. I'm 35 years old now and every day I struggle with the obsession of consuming another person. That confession was made by a Reddit user who deleted his account about 8 years ago, so this probably could be one of your neighbors. This is the scariest one of all. I was 6 years old and my mother was a frequent garage sale buyer. She purchased this big toy box that had some old 1950s dolls inside. I played with these dolls for years and one day I remember my mother selling my toys to a neighbor. I remember being extremely upset. Fast forward 20 years, we found an old picture of me playing with the old toy box toys and my mother started crying. My mother explained to me that I would tell her that I see people walking on my walls and if anyone touched those toys I would kill them. And the neighbor who purchased those toys that day was killed in a gruesome car accident just hours after purchasing them. To this day, I wonder whose toys they were before I owned them. Make sure to like and follow for more videos.
Horror movies where no one survives, Part 2. The Devil's Rejects. Now, The Devil's Rejects is a direct sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses, meaning yes, we're still following the Firefly family, comprising of Mother Firefly, Otis, Baby, and of course, Captain Spaulding. The movie starts out with a brutal police raid having to do with the Firefly family, where the Mother Firefly is yes arrested, but the others escape. They then escape the police's custody, and more or less go on a murderous road trip, where they leave absolute mayhem behind. They then post up in a motel, where they torture and unalive a traveling band. The movie then abruptly ends with the Firefly family driving into a barrage of gunfire and then seemingly ends, with no real certainty of who survived and who didn't. You then have Dawn of the Dead 2004, absolutely one of my favorite remakes ever. The movie more or less follows a group of people hiding out in a mall, trying not to unalive each other and survive the zombies that are trying to unalive them outside. You then get attached to most of these characters and most of them are picked off, up until the end, which kind of leaves it open-ended, where some of the characters escape on a boat, but then we see footage of them going to an island, which happens to be overrun by hordes of zombies. And to be fair, no one truly knows what the ending would look like, because we just don't know. We don't know if someone survived, or if they didn't.
The most popular book in the world has sold over 5 billion copies worldwide, yet very few people actually know how it really explains our origin story. And yes, it really does go there, and a little bit there too. So, it all starts with God. He is everything and everywhere and everywhen. But there isn't anything yet, so he made heaven and earth which were formless and very dark. So God said, let there be light, and boom, now we can see, which is good. He separated the dark from the light, calling them night and day, and we just had our first day. Day 2, God puts water everywhere and separates the water above from the water below with a firmament, which he calls the sky. Day 3, the water below settles and reveals land beneath it. God calls this land earth and the newly settled water sea, and also puts plants, trees, and fruits everywhere. Now it was good, for now. Day 4, God adds lights to the firmament. A greater light that was in charge of the day and a lesser light for the night, the sun and the moon. Oh, and also stars at night. This is a biblically accurate depiction of the earth as found in the Bible, so there it is. Day 5, now he puts sea creatures and birds everywhere and tells them to multiply so the seas and the skies are always filled with life. life. This was also good. Day 6, we get land animals. Wild animals, tame ones, reptiles, bugs, you name it. Then God was like, you know what? Let's make a very special one called human beings, who will rule over all the creatures in the sea, air, and land and can eat all the plants. Oh, and they also might be immortal and will never die. So he took dust from the earth, blew into its nostrils, and gave life to the first man ever. Once again, this was good. Very good. Day 7, God takes a rest from all his work and makes this a very special day of rest for everyone. But when he made the man, he actually put him in a garden that he planted in the east, somewhere close to the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, but no one really knows exactly where. He called it the Garden of Eden and told the man to take care of it. He can do whatever he wants, just never ever ever eat from this tree right here. That's the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and if you eat from it, you die. That was his only rule. But the man seemed lonely, so God wanted to give him a helper. While the man was sleeping, God sneaks out one of his ribcage bones, and with that bone, he makes a woman. And they were both naked and totally chill about it. Now in the garden, there was a snake who could talk, and was also sort of the devil. It was a cunning snake that tricks the woman into eating a fruit from the forbidden tree by telling her it'll give her special god powers. She also picks another fruit from it, gives it to the man, and he eats it too. All of a sudden, they both got super self-conscious about being naked, so they made clothes out of fig leaves and hid from God when he came around. God was all like, hey, why y'all hiding? And the man says, I don't know, I just feel kind of weird being naked around you now. Now God's all like, whoa, how do you know what naked means? Did you eat from that tree I told you not to eat from? The man admits, yeah, I did, but she made me do it. And the woman's like, okay, my bad, that snake tricked me. So we have the first sin of mankind, which is bad, and thus started God's quest to save humanity from sin. He punishes the woman by making giving birth super painful for the rest of eternity, and also tells them they're not immortal anymore and will now die from old age. Turns out the man's name is Adam, and he names his wife Eve. God makes them both clothes and kicks them out of the Garden of Eden for disobeying him. And the first thing Adam and Eve do after getting banished is make babies. She gives birth and calls the first one Cain and the second one Abel, two brothers. God liked Abel more because he was more loyal to him, but he told Cain not to get jealous or anything like that. So naturally, Cain tells Abel to follow him into a field and ends his life out of jealousy. Another sin. God curses Cain to wander the earth, and then Adam has another son with Eve named Seth. Eventually, Seth has a son, which starts a long lineage of births from those kids and those kids' kids and so on. After about 7 generations, a son named Noah is born, who turns out to be a pretty good guy. Now at this point, humans started multiplying like crazy all over Earth. Men were running around taking wives and having children with all of them. Among them were a people called the Nephilim, who were born of the sons of God and the daughters of men, which is often interpreted to mean fallen angels that intermingle with humans, but this topic is highly debated. Oh, and these Nephilim were suspected to be giants as well. God sees this and realizes that humans were starting to get a little out of control. So he was like, you know what? I'm gonna clean wipe all living things on Earth and just restart everything from scratch. Except for this guy Noah. He's a pretty good guy. As the Earth fills with more corruption, God tells Noah to build a giant ark because he's gonna flood the Earth and destroy everyone on it. God promises that Noah, his wife, his sons, and his sons' wives will all be spared in the ark, and tells them to also gather 2 of every animal on Earth to bring onto the ark as well. Land animals, birds, reptiles, everything. And so Noah builds it, it starts raining, he, his family, and all the animals get on the ark. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights as the ark sailed above the flood and everyone on Earth died. After 150 days, the water subsided and the ark rested on top of a mountain. After 40 more days, Noah opens the window and sends out a dove to do some recon, which came back with an olive leaf, meaning the waters have subsided enough for trees to grow and the earth was now dry. Noah leaves the ark with his family, all the animals, and builds an altar, which God likes. He likes it so much that he promises he will never flood the earth again, which he calls a covenant, and that rainbows will forever be reminders of this covenant. He tells Noah and his family to multiply and repopulate the earth. So Noah and his sons get to business, having kids, and their kids have kids, and so on, and many tribes and cities came up from these generations. Everyone spoke the same language and communicated with each other very well. In one of the cities, a few people got together and were like, hey, you know what? Let's build a super tall, magnificent tower. This tower will be so amazing because its top will reach into heaven, and we will be so great because of it. They call it the Tower of Babel. God saw this and thought these people were being a little bit too prideful and arrogant. So he confuses everyone by making them all speak different languages so they don't understand each other anymore, and scattered them across the earth so they can no longer work on building this tower. Everyone continued having kids and their family lineages kept growing. About 10 generations later, a son named Abram is born. And this man right here, well, he was the beginning of everything else.